The only jewelry I've ever owned are these shackles. The only education I've ever learned is pain and duty. The only understanding I have is that if I want to live, I must be of some use to the crown. I keep my head down as I push the wheelbarrow, using my greasy black hair as a shield from the ever-hungry eyes of the guards on duty. They're always foaming at the mouth, ready to strike over anything or to pull anyone away to reprimand them in any of the back rooms. It doesn't take much to get pulled. The man who was pushing the barrow before tripped just a little, making the barrow wheel slightly off to the left. The hungry guards pounced on the man, and I unfortunately was close enough to be his successor in wheeling the pack dirt to the main garden. There is another party tonight. The lovely third Princess Gina is having her ceremonious bridal biding in the garden. She's demanded to have white flowers from some foreign country be the main display, and the only way those things will survive in our climate is with a specialized dirt given to us from the Feylands. I don't understand the appeal of the flowers that smell like burnt honey, or why she chose to have the display the night before, but it's not my place to question. Us slaves were woken hours ago when the sun was still asleep to dig out a huge hole in the garden to make the display, while servants rode without rest to unopened flower shops and greenhouses to gather enough flowers to hopefully make the display as grand as the princess wants. I've heard the guards say she wants everything white to show off her purity, but she's the looses one of them all. My stomach rumbles. It twists in anger at the lack of fuel I've been burning nonstop, but it's not anything I haven't worked through before. However, the wheelbarrow is starting to feel heavier, which is making my palms sweat and my breath shallow. I can't mess up, not when the guards are still foaming for a reason to pull me into a back room. I use my panic as extra energy to get me into the main garden with the other slaves pushing and moving dirt around. There are a handful of servants and higher servants in the yard as well, along with the director of the part planning. His hands are moving spastically as he explains the princess's vision to the higher staff. I lower my head to try to get more space between myself and the group. The day before, that man got so irate over table displays he beat a slave with it. The hole is almost completely full now, and I can see the white flowers being wheeled in on carts. Servants are huddling together, waiting for the carts to stop so they can start making the bundles, while high servants are barking orders at some of my fellow slaves. I don't hear any of it over the pounding of my stomach. It's been 2 days since I've eaten anything, but I had to pick between fighting for the leftover scraps in the mess hall or a safe hidden corner in the slave quarters to sleep. Sleep won, because some men are far crueler than the guards. You there, slave women! I, along with 5 other women, freeze, unsure who the voice is speaking to. We all turn to see one of the male servants walking up to us with 2 guards. My body trembles as panic gathers in my bowels. I've done everything right, haven't I? The male servant points at 3 of us, including myself. My stomach drops as his voice slows, as if speaking to children. You 3 look light enough. Head to the center of the circle and start piling dirt for the middle of the display. The princess wants a fire display along with the Danfieons. The spicewood has to be visible, so make the walls tall but thick. We don't want the flowers to burn during the ceremony. Understand? Speaking back to uppers, even servants, is not allowed for us slaves, but with stumbling legs, we give a nod and a curtsy to indicate we understand. The servant sticks up his nose at us before turning to one of the men in order to start unloading the wheelbarrows. With horror, I realize I won't be allowed to bring the wheelbarrow with me. We'll have to travel back and forth with dirt, stone, and wood. Other female slaves are being sent to the center as well, I realize. All the ones who look 1 missing meal or 2 away from death, or the children with quicker steps. Did you just roll your eyes at me, slave? I hear a guard, and then I hear a cry from one of the newest slaves. I feel my skin crawl as I hear her pleading fading away while 2 guards laugh with one another. I don't turn, I don't help her. I just carry dirt in my shirt as I join my other slaves in the middle of the circle. We don't talk to each other aside from glances. Every woman and child here looks so tired but looks relieved. Our job is the most important, so we'll have protection from the guards till the project is over. That's all I can think. I'm so damn lucky that I was picked to work in the middle. I'm safe. It takes the director throwing a stone at one of the men laying dirt to make my sense of safety fade. The director is yelling at the high servants about the color of the stones, but he's hurling them at the slave in the dirt. He doesn't make a sound, just protects his heed and takes the pain. No one moves, no one acknowledges the scene. except for the smiling guards who are foaming to join in on the torture. For the first time in a long time, I feel another emotion in my stomach. Anger. Unyielding rage boils in my veins as my breath comes out in angry pants. We are here in the sun with no food or water, with only hours of sleep, to put together a stupid flower display for a stupid princess who doesn't care what happens to us. None of these people care what happens to us. If I were to drop right now, none of these people would mourn me. They would toss my body into the pig pen and probably beat these women for the delay. I grind my teeth as I go back for more dirt to build up on my side of the wall. The director is yelling for it to be bigger. After the slaves are done, make sure to inspect the wall. I hear one of the high servants speak to two other servants. The nectar in Danfieons is very close to oil. I know Princess Gina wants the display, but we also have to be safe. The stones and dirt have to be packed tightly, no cracks, understand? My anger holds on to that piece of information as an unrelenting idea soaks me more than my sweat. Burn it down, burn them down, burn it all down, burn it, watch it burn, let it burn, 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 burn. I feel possessed as my body moves on its own. I lay the stone and dirt perfectly as the sun beats down on my back. Burn it. The thought echoes in my mind as the servants do an intense inspection of the wall, patching up places before giving the go-ahead to start bringing in the flowers. Burn it. The phrase gives me untapped energy as I help place the bundles of the sickly-smelling flowers under the watchful gaze of the servants. Burn it. Burn it. Burn it. Us dirt-cover slaves are dismissed from helping with the rest of the setup and ordered to bathe with the animals, so we don't get dirt all over the white decorations. The slaves not dirty are made to stay to help move tables and games, while servants move to decorate and hang up white lanterns. I can smell the heavenly meal for the party, but it's only a dull spice compared to the smell of the burnt honey the flower gives off. Burn it all. The party starts 3 hours before the sun sets, so all the royals can see the perfect display of Danfieons. I've snuck my way into the party of slaves in charge of livestock tonight. The upper part of the barn gives a view of the party. The men slaves are in charge of helping the servants move barrels of meat and wine to and from the party. All the empty barrels are to be stacked on the side of the castle next to the alley for the waste men to collect. A back way from the barn runs a path to that side door. There are guards posted there, but there are drunkards that like to toss rocks at the chicken coop. I've spent the last hour of sunlight making shoes out of string and straw and hiding one of the less stained butcher blankets in the upper part of the barn. No normal-size adult could hide in this position, but because they want my diet to be scraps and air, I can tuck myself and my findings into the hidden corners. I wait, slowly eating grain and scraps of moldy food, meant for the livestock I snuck earlier as I observe the party. The sun is asleep, and the fire display is lit by a skilled arrowmen. I can hear the excited chatter of guests while the guards grumble over slave duty. I wait, my stomach burning as I stare at the flowers. The burn of anger from earlier fizzles into anxiety as I wonder if I didn't make the crack big enough or if the flower's stem isn't flammable. What if it doesn't burn? What if I'm stuck here forever? What if a guard notices me before I even get to sneak away? What if they know I'm the one who burned it down? What if they drag me into the back rooms again? What if the king... Fire. I smell it before I see it. The Danfieons goes up slowly in one section before the whole display burns out of control. Partygoers are all screaming and running while guards run from their post. To my absolute delight, the two guarding the path start running towards the party as well. I don't stay to watch. I slip on the poorly made shoes, tighten the food pouch, and flip the blanket over myself, expertly climbing down into the barn. I startle the horses, but I ignore them and head out the back of the barn, climbing over the fence mud enclosure for the pigs and run down the back path. I hear guards demanding the slaves to grab water to help put out the fire, while another set of guards tells them to get sand or flour. But I run into no one on my path to freedom. The back door is left open, and I hurriedly slip out. What I've done and what I'm doing finally hits as my foot makes it to the dirty path outside of the castle. I can't believe it. I'm free? A scream of delight almost escapes my lips, but I hold it in as I hear more commotion behind me. Did they learn I escaped? The goosebumps of freedom freeze over in fear as my feet carry me towards the woods that back up the castle, keeping close to the shadows with the help of the dark slaughter blanket. My breathing is heavy as my shoes of straw start breaking apart against the uneven terrain of the woods. But I don't care. I kick them off as a sense of euphoria comes over me. I'm free. And my victory bells are the cries of the royals and the smell of burnt honey. I don't know how long I run. I ignore the scrapes I get on the bottom of my foot, or nicks get on my arms as I push bushes and trees out of my way. I'm free. I stumble onto a wide dirt path and realize it's the path that leads in and out of the village. I turn around, unaware that I had ran uphill the whole time. The fire is still blazing at the castle. The scent of burnt honey is potent even all the way out here. There are some houses that are along this road, and I can see lanterns being lit from windows. I hear people crying out in surprise and in terror down in the towns around me. I make my way down into the ditch that runs along the creek that waters the town, making sure to get more distance between myself and the castle. The moon moves further into the sky as if watching me on my journey, and I give a thankful prayer. It's light enough so I can follow a safe path, but dark enough that I can slip undetected in the shadows. I end up butt hill into another set wilderness and keep running. I'm exhausted and my legs are getting heavier, but I don't stop. A guard on a horse could easily still catch up with me. I have to get further. I finally have a taste of freedom. I can't stop now. I won't stop now. My legs collapse under my ambition, and I find myself tumbling down a hill, hitting rocks and dry grass the whole way down. I lay breathless on my back, staring up at the blurry moon in uncomfortable agony. My legs are tender, my back throbs, and my chest feels heavy. "Look here, my lord, entertainment." My body chills as footsteps approach from behind me. I can't move, the energy I had completely gone. No, 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 no. I feel a bubble well up my chest, and when the hands grab my arms to lift me up, it breaks me. With ease, the voices shift me around and drag me from the grass onto a dirt path before dropping me down before hooves of a horse. My sobbing body shakes as I lift up my head to my new demise. His eyes are moonlight silver, and that's enough to silence my sobs. Fae, he's a fae. My eyes scan the rest of the males on horseback. Their pointed ears and glowing eyes confirm that they all are fae. Fear coats the inside of my slave shorts. The male in front of me stares down at me in disgust and uninterest. "What is so entertaining about this?" he asks, scrunching his nose at me. My mouth coats in bile, but I don't release it, fearing the wrath he could explode on me if I give such a display. One of the other males toes me with his boot. I barely react to it. "First kill of the night, my lord," he says, voice dripping with malice. "Show us what we have to look forward to as we storm the king's pompous party." The Fae cheer in unison, lifting up their swords in excitement. The Fae Lord takes a look at his subjects as a amused grin appears on his lips. His hair is a long silver, and the fabrics of this clothing shimmer in the moonlight. He'd look like an angel if I didn't know better. But I did, and the sobs rack my body once more. I finally had a taste of freedom, and now I barely hear the excitement of the Fae as I'm lifted to my feet, ready to be slaughtered for their camaraderie. The Lord Fae is monologuing a fantastic speech, I'm sure, but I can't hear it over my despair as I connect with the moon. It's not fair. It's not fair. Why must I suffer like this? Did I really do all this work, all this running, just to die to another egotistical maniac? Does my life really mean so little? Am I a rabbit meant to be prey on by wolves? My sobs are harder now as some stars twinkle in amusement at my situation. Did the moon lead me here out of sickened glee, wanting me to be their entertainment as well? Anger finds a way to boil past my despair as my body get hotter and hotter. How dare the moon? How dare the kingdom? How dare this Fae Lord? How dare them all play with my life like this? How dare they all push and break me as if I'm a toy to be used then thrown away? I'm worth more than that. I'm worth more than a death that cures boredom and encourages camaraderie. I deserve better. I deserve to live. My ire moves from the moon and focuses on the Lord, holding up his fist as a display on strength. How dare he? My body boils and my mind repeats my curse. I curse him. I curse him. I curse him. Let this blood be the broken stone of the dam. Let's paint the kingdom red. The Fae Lord calls in glee, making the other males cry in victory. With a graceful turn, the Lord thrusts a punch into my stomach. I let out a silent cry, feeling blood coat the inside of my mouth as my eyes try to adjust to the arm currently in my stomach. The males cheer louder, but my ear feels muffled to the sound. I barely feel any pain, my body feels stiff, but my vision is turning everything red. The Lord's has a pompous smirk on his face, his silver eyes glowing in animalistic pleasure. I can't believe it. How dare he? How dare he mess with my life? His smirk slowly fades, and I feel the Fae holding me up suddenly, back away. My head twitches as blood drips from my mouth. My life, how dare he? I curse him. I curse him. My life. I curse him with my life. How dare he? I don't hear the words, but I can see the panic in the Fae Lord's eyes as he tries to pull his arm from my stomach, but he can't. Every tug ignites a burning that just gets hotter and hotter, while my vision gets redder and redder. I curse you with my life. The sound of my voice is clear in my ears, and some blood splatters on the Lord's face. He's completely panicked now, pulling his arm harder, but a sudden burst of energy on my end makes me grip his arm, staring right into his shimmering silver irises. The blood from my stomach starts to shimmer, wrapping itself around his arm. He calls out to his Fae, but none of them move to help him. I smile in animalistic delight as I see the ropes of my blood curl around his neck until some coats his eyes. I curse you with my life, the sentence playing over and over again in my mind until the vision of red snaps away. The Lord rips his arm from my stomach as my blood releases him from its hold. He cradles his eye in shock as the Fae around us silence. My eyes shift back up to the moon, my head in a daze as a weird buzz fills my body. I sway slightly as the muffleness pops, and I can hear clearly once more. The horse are pulling back and snorting while the Lord is making a gurgling noise in his throat. Two Fae rush to his side. One pulls a sword on me. I don't feel anything. No fear, no anger, just a warm buzzing in my veins. "She's a witch!" the Fae with the sword cries. I heard a echo as gasps before I feel weird tugs on my stomach. I slowly look from the moon to my gaping wound, only to discover the flesh is stitching itself back together. The buzzing doesn't fade, and I find myself bursting into uncontrollable giggles as I watch more of my body fixing itself. I don't notice how I'm surrounded by swords as I evolve into laughter, wiping the shimmering blood onto my palm to study it. The first Fae with the sword snarls, lifting his weapon to strike me. "Don't!" the Lord Fae commands, making his Fae pause. His breath is heavy and his anger pumps into the air like an unyielding lover, but the Lord keeps his palm up to keep any of them from moving. His Fae all turn to him with disbelief, but the Lord just shakes his head, still cradling his eye. "I'm bound to hear. If you end her, you'll end me too," is all he gives before removing his hand to expose the red of his eye and the blood stain surrounding it. All the Fae gasps before taking a large step back away from me. I study him as the buzzing in my body pulses in an unfamiliar rhythm. "My lord," someone whispers. He looks conflicted at me, but the main emotion is anger. I feel another round of giggles burst from my lips as I take an uneven step forward. The Fae around me tense, but I fall into the security that none of them can harm me because the Lord commands it, and I don't know why. I know I can command him. The anger in his eyes is that he knows it too. I smile as I study my bloodstain of ownership on his eye before pausing in front of him. All the Fae are tense and uneasy, but his attention is all I need. Burn them all," is my command, blood escaping my lips as I speak. The Lord's eyes shimmer in understanding as his frown flips into an animalistic grin. Burn them all," the Lord responds before turning to his Fae. "Burn them all." His intensity sparks uneasy flames in his Fae, but they all start chanting as well. At first slow and unsure, but then getting louder with a hunger for violence. They turn to their horses, fire in their veins, and excitement for destruction. The Lord studies my frame for a moment before gently lifting me up to get on his horse. I've never ridden a horse before, but I settle on the back of the white stallion as if I've been riding all my life. The Lord gets on as well, hyping the Fae up behind him some more before leaning closer to my ear. "I will break your hold on me, witch." I'm still buzzing, so I just smile in return, petting the horse's neck softly as if I've been doing it for all my life. I don't understand what happened or what is happening, but the euphoric feeling in my body keeps any panic or confusion at bay, while giddy happiness replaces them. Burn them all," is my only response, and my lord rails his men to charge the kingdom I was once trying so hard to get away from. They ride hard, and I can't wait to smell the burning honey to be replaced with the burning of royals.